just a little thing you fill it with. No, that's not it.
The cabin camp is something that's been in the works really for years. Around 6 years ago, a good friend of mine from North Carolina, Damon, started talking to me about this. And I thought, Damon, you're crazy. Nobody wants to come to that. But as the community grew around the site and as the love for having a bluegrass destination experience grew, there became more and more of a request and a demand. So I try to host something like this. I call it the cabin camp because here on my property I have an actual cabin, and that's where this is filmed. It was built in 1830 and it's been, of course, refurbished and redone. It's the home of my recording studio and the centerpiece of Banjo Ben's Cabin Camp.
To actually be sitting here is a real treat. It's an amazing place. I expected this room, for example, to be much bigger, but Ben's got it all set up, and no wonder he can be so successful in producing stuff here.
I can come into his cabin and smell the smells and go up his little spiral staircase.
The house is beautiful. The environment is so great.
Thinking about getting a bus and hitting the road.
Or just hitting the road.
Look up www.banjoben.
He started announcing that it was on the forum every day.
So the minute that he posted that there was going to be a music camp, I registered, I think, that day.
I saw it through an email. I'm a Gold Pick member. I immediately registered. I mean, within a minute and a half, because I knew it was going to fill up real fast.
So I signed up within 10 minutes of seeing the email.
The first thing I did was start checking the dates, and then it was a matter of waiting to hit the sign up button before everybody else.
Am I going to go? Am I not going to go? I didn't get signed up in time. Then an opening came up.
I was monitoring the website because I knew there were only going to be 30 spots, and I wanted to be in there.
I wanted to keep the class sizes small for a couple reasons. I don't want people to get lost when they come here. I want folks to feel like they're getting the attention that they need. And so I want the student to teacher ratio to remain manageable, but also this is part of a community. And I want to personally connect with every single person. That's only possible if we keep it a smaller class size.
They limit the number of each instrument, so they're guaranteed to have several bands which are complete with a guitar, mandolin, banjo, and so forth. Other camps do that. I've been to a lot of camps, but they've really given us a lot of personal attention here in getting that set up.
It really feels like a familial type of thing, and I appreciate that. I feel comfortable, and I've just enjoyed every aspect of this.
There's 30 students from 20 different states, which is a really, really neat thing to have these people with a common interest, a common love and passion coming together here at my house at the cabin. But what's interesting is out of those 30 students, I had only personally knew 5 or 6 of those students. So I have 25 strangers to me walking up to the house, but I'm so excited to meet them because in a way, I do feel like I know them because I've answered questions through emails and on the forum and things of that nature. And so I'm able to put a face with a name. And then over the course of our time here at the cabin, I get a chance to personally connect with each one of them. And so now I have 30 new friends.
Ben and I connected, I think he was just beginning to do his first website. Connecting with him, I think his personality too was real inviting and seemed like he was a real person.
He's just like he seems on the website and in emails when he answers you. Just very grateful that he's doing what he's doing, and that him and his wife has been gracious enough to welcome us, basically into their home for these 3 days.
The Lord's at work in his life, and he loves people. And he's even sat in with the beginner level jam sessions and work with us.
Ben's encyclopedic knowledge of all the theoretical stuff, his experience, he's so generous with his knowledge. Even after a session, if there's something you don't get, he will sit you right down and make sure you get it.
You would expect somebody with Ben's stature to be a little bit snooty, and the very first thing that he did is he put things into a life context. He's just personable, it's real, it's not intimidating.
course, the most important thing you can have is food. And I wanted to spare no expense. My good friend Damon, his lovely wife Martha, flew in from North Carolina. He is a professional cook and he's catered the entire camp. And I've heard so much feedback about what kind of quality they've experienced here regarding the food and the experience.
Food has been out of the park.
The food is great. The big raging bonfire every night is excellent.
Food's good. Unfortunately, I probably care about that more than I should.
The food service has been well above average. I mean, really good food and plenty of it.
Food has been marvelous.
The creature comforts here are right on the mark.
The caterers that he's got going, just phenomenal food every lunch and every dinner.
If you have your spouse with us, she can come at nights and have a meal with you as well.
I can't even imagine the amount of time that those cooks put into it.
Food's not lacking. That's not the issue for certain.
This young man has come to mean the world to me on many different levels. He's a great friend. He's just a great guy in every way, and I really appreciate knowing you and having you in my life and having you to be somebody I can lean on. And it means more than you know. Well, I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing here. Is this He said, there's a microphone, go for it.
One thing I've heard from several folks is that they were intimidated to be exposed. What are other people going to think about their skill as a picker? What am I going to think about their skill as a picker? But one thing I've made sure to make clear is that you can be you. It's a judgment-free zone.
We all make mistakes. And it wasn't about that. It was that we all belonged. No matter what our skill level was, that we all had a purpose. And that's what he wanted to get through. Give us some tools, give us some things, and help us overcome that and have his instructors walk alongside of us.
We're here to learn, we're here to build relationship, we're here to honestly assess where you're at and where you want to go, and then to lovingly come beside you and help you get there.
I'm a reserved person normally. The atmosphere has been great.
Anything from a beginner to an advanced can come away saying that was very beneficial for me.
Everyone's very friendly and it's just a great learning environment.
I'm a less than mediocre player at best and don't have a lot of advanced skills. And I was concerned about coming. And then the community of people, there's a lot of campers, as we'll call them, who are very advanced, and they're taking their time to come over and work with me and other people on giving instruments to help them understand that as well.
I'd never really played with people before, so there was a huge intimidation factor for that. This was a completely non-judgmental environment. No matter your skill level, no matter how many mistakes you're afraid you're going to make, it's okay.
I was very intimidated because I've only had this banjo for just a little over a year.
I'm on the lower end of the talent scale, and I don't bring great musical gifts, but I'm fairly comfortable here.
I think everybody here is genuine. Everybody's friendly.
There are people around me who obviously are much better at what they do musically than me, but this place accommodates almost everyone.
Just kind of seeing a community develop through it, which I think is very important.
I'd like to announce that we won't pander in a cheap, tacky fashion with the scorers and judgers as some groups will want to do.
I have some very special teachers, but I didn't hire them because I'm close with them. I hired them because I believe they're the best at what they do. And for banjo, we had my sister, Katie Lou, teach. For mandolin, her twin sister, Penny Lee. You probably know those girls from their band, the Purple Hulls. And then for guitar, I have one of my favorite guitar players teaching guitar who also works with me and helps me run the general store, and that's Jake Stogdill from Washburn, Missouri. And we've all been on the journey where you are. We've all been along that stage. We remember what it's like to not be able to do certain things that you want to do. And so we can easily come along beside you and help you move to that next level.
The instruction is phenomenal. There's plenty of width there to ask questions and have your questions answered. The instructors are very personable. I've connected with all of them.
Katie's been our teacher and she's just phenomenal. You can't learn everything on his website, but when you come here, his sisters are great teachers and they're also friendly and helpful, and you just learn so much more. I got pages of notes to go home and work on stuff that they've taught us.
The real secret when he was saying, oh, my sisters are going to help teach, I had no idea who they were and how professional they are. They're off touring around the world, so it's just fortunate to see such a close-knit, faithful family that are all musically inclined and they're all just sharing their talents. To me, it's outstanding to have 2.5 days with professional musicians. It's not so much about, hey, here's a chord structure or here's some key combination, which you can always go look up in a book. They do that, but that's not what you have to take note of. What you take note of is the theory and what's in their head as to why they're doing it and some of the tips and tricks that they're using.
The first day they were teaching rhythm. And I thought, I've been playing rhythm for years, but what really clicked for me is as Jake was teaching the rhythms, he was teaching the bluegrass style and where you put emphasis on the rhythms. So the first day session, which I thought, not gonna be that interesting, was just phenomenal for me.
You move away from using sheet music and hearing a melody, learning chord progressions, and just improvising.
Learning to implement licks in certain areas, in certain pauses, in between lyrics and things like that.
They care so much about watching their students
I
learn.
really want to tip my hat to Penny, who's just an absolutely wonderful Mando player and a Mando teacher. It's been a real treat.
Jake is great. Kate and Penny are just amazing and are every bit as generous with their knowledge.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound.
There are some things that we cover here at the cabin camp that people don't expect to be covered. I love to dig into theory first thing in the day. So I just opened up my living room and we dove into the Nashville number system. Things that pickers need to know if you're going to be playing with other pickers. And I've gotten the feedback that was some of the most helpful thing, that brain session to start them off early in the morning is what armed them to be able to make the most out of the camp throughout the rest of the day and the following day. So I love to make this camp special, learn things here that you might not learn any other place.
Ben does something that no other camp I've ever been to does. He goes into a skull session. For example, this morning we talked about the Nashville numbering system.
Things about the Nashville number system.
To the Nashville numbering system.
And how it works. But it was a very in-depth discussion. And you come away realizing how important the Nashville numbering system is. And up until then, I was 1, 4, and 5 chords. That was the numbering system for me. Now I realize it goes into far more depth than that. And he went into that, giving us, if you were in football, a chalk talk.
Another thing I learned, things about the Nashville number system. I kind of already knew it and was familiar, but this was just a huge refresher course, and that really made the whole thing worth it.
Understanding music theory in a way that I've never understood it, train my ear to understand what's going on inside of a song so that I can then take that back into my little study at home and figure out how to work a song out.
It makes it really easy to sit down with people you've never met before, and because you have that common foundation of, we've been working on 9-pound hammer, let's try it.
Exposure to the Nashville numbering system, that turned on a light for me. That's helped a lot in the jamming. One of the biggest takeaways is the exposure to being in a jam session, because I've never had that experience before. I've always been very isolated, so this gives a sense of community.
Be unbroken, by and by, Lord.
One of the really fun things we do at the cabin camp is a band contest. Let you in on a little secret. But after the campers come here and they get comfortable, I announce groups that were set up by random. And so over the course of 3 days, the bands get together and they practice songs for the final night band contest, where the instructors get to vote on who presents the song the best. This isn't about who's the best pickers or who plays the fastest. It's none of that. It's who puts to use the principles and the philosophies that they were taught throughout the week the best. And that's one of the funnest parts, because it challenges you to get outside of your comfort zone, but it challenges you to get with other players and have to perform songs to the best of your ability. And I've heard over and over and over again that was their favorite aspect, perhaps, of the camp experience.
Tonight's going to be our little test of all the bands playing for everybody else. It's going to be cool.
Probably what I'll take home with me is what they've kind of pushed us into a jam setting, not forcefully, but to push yourself beyond where you could before, so hopefully you can get back to the real world and still do that same push to be a better player.
To go to jam sessions and play with guys, and when it comes around the circle, you don't have to shake your head off every time. You can at least have a melody that you can play inside that. And Ben's worked real hard to help us understand that if you can just play that basic melody, it doesn't have to be fancy. That's well respected in any circle or jam session you would play in. There's a confidence that's kind of growing in me because of the way that I've been handled with Ben and also the other campers. It's going to give me a little more confidence to play with people.
It's just a really conducive place to sit down with a group or with a couple people or by yourself and just play and get comfortable enough to be able to, sit down with some other folks.
The cabin camp is located about 20 minutes outside of downtown Nashville, one of the coolest cities in the whole country. So I think people love to come here for these kinds of things because they can build a vacation out of it, either a couple days before the camp or a couple days after, be able to experience what Nashville has to offer as far as culture and music and entertainment and food.
The other good thing too is that Ben brought items from the store. I ordered through the site, but to have them here, and because I don't have a music store near me where I live, that would lean more to the bluegrass. They took all of our instruments, and Jake took each individual instrument, went through them, determined if there were any setup things he might be able to do to them to bring more sound out of the instrument, and he did that for every camper. I have my banjo and my guitar here, and so I don't know where you'd find that. No additional cost, it was just great. You take care of my banjo, you're my friends.
The absolute best thing is it's taught me a whole new way to practice and use the site and what's there, and to move off the page into improv.
I'm sure with more of these, more people will have this opportunity to come and learn directly from Ben, which is just, amazing.
Yeah, I would encourage anybody, especially if you're a Gold Pick member, to take what you've learned and then come here and apply it in real time with real people. It just makes a huge difference.
I think no one interested in doing a camp should write this one off. They need to take a look at the quality of the teaching.
I really enjoyed getting to know his family and some of his good dear friends.
So it's just been great. I feel like I've been at his home and at the same time enjoyed their hospitality and the benefits of the camp as well. So it's just been a great experience.
I just think it's a great experience.
I would definitely encourage anybody to come.
I would like more youth to come next year.
So the question is, are you going to be here at the next one? I'd sure love to meet you. I'd love to host you here. I'd love to get to know you, and I'd love to grow in our musical passions and pursuits together.